as they shape that kind of and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, one of her advocacy to be herself, the glory, and to empower others to do the same. None other than me, Shana Francesca. Welcome, Shana, on Africa Say. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Shana Francesca, and you know, I grew up in a very difficult environment, and so when I left, I realized I did not have a lot of deep understanding of leadership and relationship. I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know how to describe what I did. And so I've spent the last 15 years researching at first really just for myself and then realizing how powerful it was for other people to better understand ethical leadership and relationship.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss China. Thank you. Thank you. And today let's talk about something good about what is ethical leadership and how do we create and maintain it. Let's start with the definition. What define ethical leadership in one sentence in a way that separates it from simply good or effective leadership?
Yeah, it's ethical leadership is based on a intentional and ethical relationship with those we lead, whether it be one-on-one or through culture.
Beyond the company's stated values, what's the ultimate source of ethical leaders' true north when facing a decision in uncharted territory?
A growth mindset, a mindset where they're interested in taking in a diverse array of opinions of experts around them and taking that into consideration, not believing they have to know everything.
Oh, yes, definitely humility. Indeed. Are the foundations of ethical leadership like integrity, courage, empathy, innate character traits, or can they be systematically developed in a leader?
Oh no, they absolutely can be developed, and I think that along with developing them, right? And I propose that the three main pillars of ethical relationship and so ethical leadership are curiosity, respect, and accountability, and they must be consistently invested in. So it's absolutely about recognizing that we can grow and change much more than I think most of us, maybe we're raised to believe or currently understand. Especially as leaders, we think we have to know it all.
Yes. The crucible of decision making, Ms. China. Can you walk us through the framework you use for making decisions when were there conflict between two rights?
I don't really think that it's a matter of like something being absolutely right or absolutely wrong. I think most things fall into the gray somewhere in between. But I think it's about taking in information, learning as much as we can, and especially from taking in information from those people who will be affected by the decision that we're making, right? They're going to be affected, they're going to be impacted. We should be taking in information from them so that we can make the best decision that causes no harm or absolutely the least harm.
The best decision that we can make. In a high pressure environment that rewards fast results, how does an ethical leader create the space to make a principled decision without being paralyzed?
I think when we stay ready as leaders, we don't have to get ready. We don't have to make decisions quickly without nearly enough information. If we're continually educating ourselves, continually growing and learning, then we are ready to be able to make decisions. If we're surrounded by people who we're growing and learning from, so on and so forth, then we're able to make much more decisive and quick decisions that are going to be successful long term because we've been invested long term in what is required to be able to make those kinds of decisions.
Miss Shana, can you share an example where doing the right thing came with a significant short term cost? How did the leader justify and communicate that choice?
I mean, I think when we're talking about, putting teams together, moving forward a particular project, so on and so forth, sometimes the short-term cost is people don't know how to work together. They haven't worked together previously. They're going to try things. It's not going to work. But in the long run, once they figure out how to work together, right, and how to learn from each other as expertise, they're going to mesh together and be able to innovate and create in a way that is going to create success for the organization long term. But at first, it might be uncomfortable, right? And I think that's kind of what a lot of people are afraid of, is to empower their people and support them through that kind of initial discomfort so that in fact we can be long-term successful.
Miss Shana, how can well intentioned leaders fail to see unethical practices developing with their own teams or culture? What are the early warning signs they often miss?
The early warning signs are we're only hearing the things that make us happy or that we want to hear. We're not consistently hearing things that make us uncomfortable or challenge our ways of being. As soon as that's happening, we as leaders have to take a step back and be like, hold on, there's something wrong here, because we aren't perfect. All of our decisions aren't true and accurate. And if we're not getting feedback, then there's a problem, right? The problem is that it appears that there's no problem. That doesn't mean that there isn't a problem.
Indeed, building a sustaining and ethical culture, setting the tone at the top is a common phrase. What are the two tangible, often overlooked actions that a leader can take on day one to establish this tone?
I think one of the most tangible things that a leader can do from day one is to recognize that the people who are inside of their organizations have a lot of internal knowledge that we're not privy to. And if we're willing to and committed to walking the halls and talking to people regularly every day at every level of our organization, we will recognize there's so much wisdom there. There's so much untapped knowledge. And that doesn't mean that we're always going to you know, that we're always going to agree with what knowledge they're bringing forward, or we're gonna, act in the way that they expect or want us to. But there's so much knowledge there. We have to be committed to harvesting that knowledge, to stay connected to our people, to develop those kind of, loops of information with the people inside of our organization. They need to be heard, and we need to be listening.
Stay connected with everyone, people, and Miss China, if an organization says it values ethics but only promotes based on a quarterly targets, it fails. How must incentive and recognition systems be redesigned and to genuinely foster ethical behavior?
I think, in a lot of organizations where there has to be a shift in mindset, the rewards can't be reaped by only one group of people because the work is not only being done by one group of people, right? And so when you see organizations that have leaders that work together and their bonuses are tied to the organization's overall success, not just a particular department's success, so on and so forth, you see much more collaborative work being done. And when you look at organizations like Gore and Associates, like King Arthur Baking Company, they all decide on the salaries together, right? They all reap the benefits together. They have to come to a basic consensus for some kind of project to be invested in and move forward, for them to research that project to see if it has real tangible benefit in the marketplace, so on and so forth. They're making those decisions collaboratively. And so when you see long-term success inside of organizations, it's collaboration is right there making it happen.
Collaboration indeed. Middle managers often feel caught between executive and directives and team reality. How can senior leaders empower them to be ethical leaders when they are under intense performance pressure?
Yeah, I think it comes back to building relationships. It comes back to knowing that the people that you lead are able to change, learn, and grow, and the pressure isn't doesn't need to rest solely on your shoulders. It's meant to be, a group effort that makes, anything really valuable happen. And so I think a lot of times maybe managers feel stuck, like they're supposed to have all the answers and like they've got to choose the people who are, best suited to make that thing happen as quick as possible. But there's a lot of power in recognizing that people change, learn, and grow. And when we empower their growth, we can make a lot we can make a lot more progress in projects and be much more successful when we recognize like we when we understand how to foster people's growth and learning in order to really make things um, projects come to completion in a way that everybody benefits from and the company is profits from.
Yes, indeed. So, what is the simple but powerful, effective practice or question you recommend for leaders to check their own ethical alignment and mitigate personal blind spots?
We have to develop feedback loops, and I mean in a positive way, right? I mean, we have to be willing to ask the questions. A lot of organizations don't ask people until they're leaving, why are you leaving? I ask organizations all the time, are we so afraid of the answer because we know we know there's something there that we need to fix, that we're only willing to ask it when somebody's leaving? If we were truly courageous and truly cared about our long-term success, not only ours but our people's, we would ask them regularly. We would ask them as part of their annual review, right? Like, if you were going to leave this organization today, why would you leave? Right? And we gather that information and then we have to have the courage to do something about it, right? Because turnover is excessively expensive inside of organizations. And so much knowledge is being lost and so much success and progress is lost when someone takes all of their expertise and all of their institutional knowledge and they take it with them. Right? They take all those relationships, they take all of that with them. It's very expensive. So why don't we avoid that cost and be willing to ask the truly important question of, if you were going to leave today, why? Why would you leave? And be courageous enough to act when they answer.
Is courageous enough to tell the truth, to face the truth.
Yeah.
Of course, how important is it for a leader to consciously surround themselves with people who will question their ethics, not just their strategy?
Yeah.
How do they find and encourage those voices?
Yeah, it's excruciatingly important. When you look at research, leaders who insulate themselves and are surrounded with yes people cause a significant amount of harm that takes a very long time to undo. And, it might be uncomfortable to build your tolerance for dissent, but if you're not experiencing it, you're not a leader, you're a tyrant. And your people are responding to that, right? They don't feel safe to tell you, they don't think you care to know, so on and so forth. It's really, really important that we be deeply invested in asking the important questions of people who will challenge us, right? Not people who are going to tell us what we want to hear. Um, and it has to be done regularly. It can't be done just like once a year. It needs to be done like, I don't know, weekly, monthly at the longest.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah, it should. I think I heard this thing about Winston Churchill that he
Mhm.
insisted he had this small group of people who, at the end of the day, had to give him the bad news. They had to give him the the really bad results of the decisions that he had made, so he understood how to make change and and he had the evening to like decide how he was going to learn, change, and grow for the next day's decisions. It's important that we be invested in hearing what we don't want to hear, because it's the difference between you know our success and being a leader, and simply being a boss and being in charge.
Yes, I think you will learn from those pitfalls.
Yeah.
And it's really important. It's a part of being a leader to be the best leader and to be
Yeah.
successful in leading those people. And Miss Shana, what are your short term and long term goals?
My short-term goals for me, right?
Yes, please.
Um, my short-term goal is something that I hope will happen very soon, is to get on the TEDx stage.
Yes. Good luck.
Um, thank you. Long-term goal is to be, having these conversations with people around the world. I'm already doing it nationally here in the US. I would love to be doing this internationally. Because at first I thought it was, this work was kind of, isolated here, but the more I have conversations with people internationally, the more they're like, no, no, I think what you're doing and what you're talking about are applicable to a huge portion of the world. And so I'd love to be able to be having these conversations in countries around the world, empowering leaders to step into their leadership in the most powerful way that they possibly can, by empowering their desire and their understanding of what it is to truly be an ethical leader, to understand how that spurs innovation and profitability long term. It helps us to avoid the pitfalls that are very expensive. It helps us to avoid the turnover, so on and so forth. But quite frankly, it helps us to be proud of who we are as leaders every single day.
Every single day, and good luck to your goals,
Yeah.
Miss Shana, and
Thank
looking
you.
forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
I hope they don't want to be like me. I hope they want to be the best version of themselves. But uh, get curious and stay curious. Read regularly. That's really important for our critical thinking skills. It's really important to foster our curiosity. It's how we connect with ourselves and one another. Literally, our relationships fall apart, whether it be with ourselves or others, without a healthy, fostered amount of curiosity.
Yes, indeed. Be who you are.
Hmm. Be who you are.
And
Yeah.
yes, and please stop procrastinating. Please share your talents to
Yeah.
the world. Share to the world. It will be your legacy. And Ms. Jenna, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101, music 101, our fourth season, science 101, sex 101 in second season of my baby podcast, law 101, Mental Health 101, Bible Verses 101, and coming this December, Entrepreneur 101 and Motivational 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Jaina, to make it personal, what is the single question you have asked yourself in your darkest professional moment to ensure you were staying on an ethical path?
Um, what is the single question I ask myself?
Yes, please.
Am I avoiding accountability?
Likewise. I will
Because the
ask that
answer
to
is
myself.
yes. I just have to be willing to ask myself the question. Yeah.
True. It's empowering question that
Yeah.
whether I am I doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If it's a no, oh, validate it.
Yeah.
Check
Yeah.
and
Right.
balance.
Exactly.
And one more, Miss Shaina. How is definition of ethical leadership evolving to
Mhm.
encompass a new responsibilities like AI governance,
Mm.
climate action, and social
Yeah.
equity that past generations of leaders did not face.
It's why the focus of my work is relationship, because it's all relationship. Whether it's us with one another, us with the people inside of our organization, us with the corporations and the companies we purchase from, how we choose to build that which we, share with the world and sell and, market, so on and so forth. It's all about relationship. And we have to ask ourselves, what kind of relationship do we want with the world around us? And again, do we want to create something that's long-term successful and spurs, health and wellness of not just ourselves, but everyone around us, knowing that they're all interconnected, or are we just in it for our own selves, right?
Yes,
Because
we
if we're only
are.
in it, yeah, because we're reaping the, the harm. We're reaping the harm that we've put out in the world that has left unchecked with climate change, with, all of these different things. And I talk when I talk to young people, I'm like, do you want a healthy relationship with yourself, knowing your voice and knowing what you want to say, and investing in learning how you want to say it and taking in information, so on and so forth? Or do you want to let something, technology, think for you? you know so, we have to be asking ourselves how we want to interact with the world, and then the legacy that we want to leave behind. And unfortunately, right now, if we were to snap our fingers and the world would hit pause, I don't think the legacy of AI would be a positive one.
Mhm. Yes.
You know.
Definitely, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Shana. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But one more, can you expound more the phrase on your website where strategy meets harmony, the art of leadership, ethical leadership, and international relationship? What is all about?
Yeah, I think my work leans a little heavier, more towards strategic, right? I I think when we're talking about what we wanna build, we have to have that formula. We have to understand intentionally how we wanna move through the world, and we have to create a foundation and a shared definition to do that. And so it's about understanding, let's create this foundation. Let's build your leadership from there. Let's create harmony in the process.
Yes, let's build our future generation to generations to come because this is our world. This is our earth. Only one earth. That's still existing. So, Miss Shana, please do invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, hop onto my website as it's displayed here, consonate.world. And reach out, connect with me, connect with my work. I have upcoming virtual workshops that are through to the early next year. Dates are scheduled, so make sure you connect with me.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Shayna. Because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering advocacy will rise. And good luck to your TEDx. Please do come over and let's talk about it once you did
Yeah.
it. Yes, more to come, people. See you soon.